Hello and welcome to the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
We have a long meeting to talk about an hour and 40 minutes, and one of your favorite roadways was the major topic, so we'll talk about that and what you might see coming ahead. Also, a meeting before the meeting was held, and we have a few notes there, and a lot going on in the city, so get your calendars out for some dates and events coming up. Let's first talk about the meeting before the meeting. There's a work session which happens on a somewhat regular basis. Tell us about the couple topics that were covered.
Yeah, so we had first a closed session to talk about labor negotiations. We currently have 3 contracts that are open that we've been in mediation on trying to get solved or settled. So one for the patrol officers, one for our public works maintenance workers, and then also we have a newly formed unit in our police captains. And so been working on getting those contracts back to closure here. So had some closed session time with the council to talk about strategy there. Okay. Then we moved on. We've added some new security features in the council chambers, and so we wanted to provide an opportunity to do some training with the city council. So if we ever had an incident occur in the chambers that we needed to get the council out of there, that they understood kind of what the protocol was, where they were to go and what to expect, not only from staff but also from our law enforcement staff. So we did some quick training there, and then moved back into the mayor's conference room to talk a little bit about the zoning text amendments that we've been working on for the shoreland district as well as tree preservation. We got through the shoreland piece. We're going to plan to move that piece forward. I think that was kind of the most critical piece, and we're going to continue the discussion. The tree preservation arbor committee was there and represented some information, so we'll continue that discussion on the tree preservation side, but look to see that shoreland piece coming through the council process in the coming weeks.
Very good. So that was the work session ahead of the meeting on the 4th. The meeting on the 4th itself was about 1 hour and 40 minutes, and nothing from consent that stood out. Moving ahead to special business, a few new restaurants coming to town, and they have to go through a process to get some liquor licenses. Tell us about the new restaurants. Yeah,
so both of these were just for wine and beer service. So the first one was for Grill Hall Churrascaria, and that is located at 9691 63rd Avenue, so kind of in the southeast corner of the city. If you remembered, Henry's Cafe was down there and kind of that little strip building there, and then it transitioned to Lily's, and now they've added this Grill Hall component. So that was for a beer and wine license there. And then we have Ichido Ramen coming to the new Village at Arbor Lake space, the Kelly Dorn project there on the corner, kind of the inline retail space. So slowly they're filling up that space, but I think Ichido Ramen will be a nice addition there, and this was for their beer and wine service.
And it sounds like one may be the end of March and one may be the end of April as far as openings, so springtime, some new opportunities. Now to the large item from the meeting that took about 45 minutes. Lots of discussion again, and this is the continuance of the I-94 discussion and what is going to be happening in the next few years. Give us a preview and also a recap of some of the major items from the meeting.
Yeah, so MnDOT was in front of the council to review the final layout for this project and get municipal consent. So they walked through what the improvement is, which is really starts at the Fish Lake split. They call it an unbonded overlay. Basically, it's a pavement maintenance project that they'll be replacing or adding pavement in that area. They kind of go on top of the existing pavement structure that's there, but it'll be a new pavement layer there. So starting at the Fish Lake split, and the project extends all the way to Rogers, but there's a few components in the middle between Fish Lake Split and Rogers that'll be added. So the Brockton interchange just at Maple Grove's northwest, kind of the border between Maple Grove and Dayton up there, will get added. This is a project that has been long in the process and gained some funding through the state bonding process last year, and so was able to move forward along with this unbonded overlay project. So nice addition to the freeway system up there. I think a point of frustration for travelers has been, really between Maple Grove Parkway and Rogers, which is about a 6-mile stretch. There's no on and off. So if you don't get off at Maple Grove Parkway, you're going to Rogers. Particularly with the 610 connection, I think that's been a tough one for folks. Is if you happen to go the wrong way there, you're going for a long time. So it'll add, some capacity up there. Also through, they're taking from where 610 drops into 94, adding a lane all the way to Rogers. That'll go underneath the 101 overpass there, and that has certainly been a point of congestion since 610 connected, so they're hoping that will solve that issue up there. So a lot of construction going to be happening in the I-94 corridor. They also mentioned a couple things that'll be happening further to the west and north of us, and that's an addition addition of a lane between St. Michael and Albertville, and then they're also adding a lane between Monticello and Clearwater. Leaves a gap there between Albertville and Monticello.
Right.
The Clearwater, or Monticello to Clearwater piece was really a pavement maintenance project that they decided to take the opportunity to make an additional lane with that project. So while they're out there, so a lot of work going to be done on that corridor. The time frame for that is it really will start in earnest this summer, 2019. They'll be constructing some crossover lanes. Their commitment is to keep 3 lanes of traffic open through construction, but certainly there'll be some shifting from side to side.
Sure.
So think about what happened with 494 when that project was done, much the same. At some points they'll be moving 5 lanes of traffic to one side and there'll be 1 on the other side. Those bridges can only accommodate 5 through lanes underneath.
Okay.
They'll be tighter. Sure. Jersey barriered on either side, so there certainly are going to be some traffic impacts, and you're going to have to be really thinking ahead during this time through that corridor, because if you're going to want to exit on Weaver or Maple Grove Parkway, you're going to have to get in a certain lane ahead of time, because there's going to be some lanes that are just through lanes that keep you going all the way out to Rogers. So a lot of communication will come with this project, and some commuter education as well ahead of time, but so the crossover lane construction in 19, and then 2020, 2021 is really when the work on the freeway system will begin in that construction of the Brockton interchange. One of the other pieces that comes along with this is they've been doing some work at the rest area. They've added some, if you come down the I-94 corridor, you see some signage that tells you about the parking availability there, so they've added some of that. They're proposing to add 12 additional spaces there for truck parking. I think it's a pretty heavily used site. You can go by, late at night, and there's trucks parked up the exit ramps any given night. So that's part of this project. We, of course, have had concerns about public safety at this facility. We've been working with State Patrol. Not a lot of State Patrol coverage out here in these areas where there's larger police departments. They kind of yield to the larger departments, so this becomes an obligation of our local police department. We've been encouraging MnDOT to add some camera security out there. They don't have security staff on site. It's really maintenance staff on site. So a lot of those issues end up in our court in terms of dealing with crime issues there. So still working with that issue. We've had our we have a portable camera trailer that we can put out. We use it a lot during the Christmas season. We've put that out there kind of as a deterrent to let folks know we're watching. But that continues to be an ongoing concern of ours that we'll continue to work with MnDOT on. Not unique to the Maple Grove rest area. This is common to rest area locations. They can tend to be a little anonymous and unsupervised, and so things can occur there. So that's a component of this project as well. So more to come on communications and information out about what the impacts are going to be and what you need to know if you're traveling the corridor. But I think come 2021 we'll be pleased with the impacts of that. One thing that can't go without mention is the 610 completion bill, and we have long felt that it made good sense to get that 610 completion done when they're out here in the corridor doing this unbonded overlay project. And we continue to push on that. We're pushing at the legislature this year for some funding for that, and we haven't given up that yet. We're going to continue to push in that direction, because if we were able to take this on to the end of this project, say in 2022, which is when our STP funding becomes available for the 610 completion, we're hoping to do that. So Mayor made mention of that to MnDOT such that they don't forget, and we'll keep that pressure on to try to get that 610 completion done in a timely manner to this project.
Part of the good news of this project, as I heard it multiple times, is they hope this pavement lasts for 30 years.
Right.
So that's a good sign. They might need minor repair, but at least the major pavement lasting that amount of time. A little other discussion about the time they do work, and probably something residents should realize, that all of the work won't happen during the day. There might be some that happens at night, and they're just trying to keep the traffic flowing. Give us a quick idea of, again, what people might be thinking about. And again, this is part of the ongoing communication.
Yeah, so there will be overnight work that is completed, and then back to the 494 reference is that it really kind of in the winter they kind of put it back to a state of traffic, and then it sat there till the spring, and we probably will have that condition happening as well. But I think they are mindful of the volume that 94 carries every day, folks getting into and out of the city, and so hopefully they are going to be focusing their construction activity such that we don't completely impede truck and commuter traffic into the cities. So there will be different construction times that occur, and we'll try to keep the public informed as best we can.
Very good. All right, so much more to come. We will keep you up to date on that project. Let's talk about community development. A few items there that we've touched on in the past continue to move along the process. One is the Christian Brothers Automotive. Give us an update on that project.
Yeah, so this is right up of 610 and Zachary, kind of in that southwest corner, just south of the Dunkin' Donuts development. There was another little lot there that was available for commercial development. So this is Christian Brothers Automotive, just kind of like light automotive, oil change type facility, and really nice architecture on this building. This is an operation. They have facilities in other parts of the metro area. So this one had come through the process and now has its final approvals, and probably see some construction happening this summer.
Very good. Another item was the shops at Arbor Lakes. This was tabled back in 2018.
Yeah.
A lot of work has been done behind the scenes. Tell us what the final presentation was and how the council took it.
Yeah, so this was the final step in their approvals that allows them to move forward to construction. So this is for their streetscape modification of that center pedestrian mall area. They'll be making that a through street with some diagonal parking, but really upping kind of the streetscape amenities in that area. We were wanting to really hang on to kind of some of those elements that are there today, sort of the water, fire, pergola, seating areas, that kind of a thing, and they really did a nice job. They brought in a company called Street Sense that does this work around the country, kind of rejuvenating mall and retail areas and allowing for some flexibility of use. So they had some really nice images that were included in the council packet. They also had a fly-through. We are putting that up on our website, so if people want to go take a look at that, you can go look at that. I think it's going to be connected in the development map, kind of the development information map. So I think they did a really nice job, and I think this will be a nice addition to the mall. I think it'll really kind of hopefully rejuvenate some of that internal space that they've struggled with vacancy, and maybe rejuvenate the whole area a little bit. I think the good news is we have an owner here who's investing a lot of money into these improvements, and with the struggles in retail, that isn't occurring at every center around the country or even in Maple Grove. And so I think this is a really kind of a good story about reinvestment and continuing to try to be nimble and change how things work in those retail centers. I think you might see a little bit more food and beverage in those internal areas. They're looking for more reasons for people to come there and stick there and maybe do some shopping while they're there. And so I think this isn't unlike the changes that we see at a lot of our retail malls around the metro area. But really looking forward to seeing this, and I know they're anxious to get going on the construction early this spring.
And I know one of the questions was from the council about the event area, because in the past they have done a great job holding summer concerts and events, and it sounds like there will still be a nice event area. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that center portion really will be designed, and they had different graphics showing how it would transition from that kind of parking through street to event space, and how they would close it off with bollards and that kind of a thing. I think it will probably, in their opinion, it'll work better. I think one of their challenges has been that internal space has different levels to it, and so the spaces for gathering got to be a little bit small at times, and so this really opens it up to be more flexible, so they could hold bigger, type concert events or a farmer's market or the art show that they do, or the art fair that they do in conjunction with Maple Grove Days. So I think there's a number of benefits to this project and making that space just a little bit more flexible.
And once again, the time frame on this, what are they hoping? Yeah,
I think they're hoping that they're going to get started here in the spring with the construction, and they probably 6 months construction period, I would expect. It's all pretty much street work, but a lot of hardscape and those kinds of things. So repouring of concrete, that kind of a thing. But I know they're committed to keeping all the retail accessible during that construction period.
Very good. All right. It'll be fun to watch. Move down to the southwest corner of the city, Rush Creek Apartments. We've talked about about this a few times. It continues to move ahead, and little different change to the setup of this. Give us an overview of what this project is now looking like.
Yeah, so this was a project that was originally approved in 2017, a little bit higher unit count at that time, a little bit different configuration. They had some concerns over the cost of that project and making that work, so they went back to the drawing board and came back with an alternative plan that reduced the unit count and changed the configuration of the buildings a little bit. So they came back around. This one's on the southwest corner of 101 Bass Lake Road, so just kind of directly across the street, 101 from the Hy-Vee site. Townhomes are currently being constructed on the northern portion of this site on that corner. So this one got its final approvals. This was really just an amendment to that plan that was previously approved, but this one looks to go forward at, kind of that one of the first buildings. They'll get started in the clubhouse probably this construction season, but 240 units out there.
Very good.
Yep.
That was the last item in community development. Now looking ahead in community development, they've got a lot going on, and one that just occurred, and we wanted to get a little recap, was 105th Avenue area open house. So again, the work continues there to talk with the residents in the area. What did they learn? Yeah,
so we had an open house for the 105th Area Master Plan. This is work that we've been doing for about 6-8 months here following on the comp plan. We do have some development projects that are coming forward up in this area. Northwood Church has proposed to do the church development as well as some housing around that area. That's going to be coming forward to the Planning Commission here later in March and then through the council process in April. So these processes are kind of moving concurrently here. This is a little bit of a different area in that we have existing large lot single family development up here with some changes going on around there. There's more commercial industrial type land uses around there. We have the Brockton interchange being constructed or the Dayton Parkway interchange, they've changed the name now, just to the north and west of there. So really kind of, and of course 610 has come through that area as well. So really kind of some transitions occurring there. We've had a lot of discussion with some of the residents along Holly Lane and looking at that alignment of Holly Lane. So we anticipate bringing this issue of 105th Avenue back to the City Council probably in early April. We're continuing to have discussions with the Holly Lane folks through the end of the month here, and then bring this back in April for the Planning Commission and City Council to take a look. So more to come on that one, and our other master planning processes continue to move forward, both in the northwest quadrant, the GMA, and then there's a development-led one down in the Elm Creek area. So, or I'm sorry, Elm Road area. So all those processes continue to move forward.
Right. As you can see, the city is busy with things moving ahead. Speaking of moving ahead, the Planning Commission coming up, they have a meeting, and Village at Arbor Lakes is a place to watch, as you thought would happen. Things are starting to roll there retail-wise. What can we expect coming? Yeah,
so the third apartment building, they're going to pull the trigger on that, so that'll be the last phase of that residential housing project there. They have another commercial building that they're proposing on the site, as well as at the corner, Wahlburgers has made an application to locate there, so that's kind of an exciting one, a nice new addition. They did their first store at the Mall of America, and Maple Grove will be their second, so we're really excited to have them come to town. I think it'll add a lot of energy to that area.
I think people will be very excited.
Yes.
And you mentioned the comp plan. Let's touch on that once more. It's coming to an end, so tell us about this final phase of the process. What has to happen now?
Yeah, so we're preparing to bring this back to the council on March 18th for kind of the final review before we turn that back into the Met Council, and hopefully that'll be our last step here. We had a workshop a few weeks ago with the council just to kind of review some of the open items and get some policy direction on those, and so we'll be wrapping this up here on March 18th.
Let's talk about Public Works and City Engineering for just a minute. And as we told you the last program, there were some updates needed at the water treatment facility and have to flip it into manual mode. It's been in manual mode. How has that gone, and when are we ready to flip it back to auto? Yeah, so they're almost finished with all of the work on the computer systems up there that really run that water treatment plant in an automated manner, run our entire water system in an automated manner. So far so good. No hiccups on that manual operation. A lot of labor involved with that because it's a 24/7, 365 deal. Sure. But this is work that's necessary to do to keep that water treatment plant operating, optimally all year round. There's a lot of wear and tear on those facilities because there's a lot of high moisture level inside those water treatment plants, and so you got to make sure you're in there taking care of the equipment. So with this computer upgrade, and then I think they'll be wrapping up this work within the next few weeks. Very good. Yep. And one other note, in engineering, County 47, you may think of that as a Plymouth road,
Yes.
but as you go west, it does get into Maple Grove. What is ahead for that roadway?
Yeah, so County Road 47 is a project in Plymouth, a priority project for Plymouth. They've been working with Hennepin County on this one to try to secure funding and support. It's part of the Turnback program as well with Hennepin County, but that road does come into Maple Grove, and so as Plymouth is working on a study of that corridor, they'll be working with Maple Grove on those connections as well.
All right.
Yep.
And the final couple notes at the meeting, your update. First, you had a special guest in the
Yes.
audience. Tell us about this connection, a neat student in the audience.
Yeah, so Cara Seversal was with us on Monday evening. Cara's a senior up at Maple Grove Senior High. I had the opportunity to meet her at a Rotary Ethics workshop that I participate in over at Boston Scientific. She was seated at my table, and she's a young woman who is interested in getting into public policy work. She'll be attending Mankato State in the fall, and so we kind of formed a connection, and I invited her to come see a council meeting some night, or come shadow me someday at work and see the work that we do here at the city. So she took me up on that offer and joined us. I encouraged her to come on Monday, March 4th, because I knew we had a lengthy, meaty agenda, so good to see some public policy work in action, and so she joined us for the evening.
Is she going to join you at the legislature now? That would be the next part
Yes,
of understanding
yes.
the process. And
Right.
she may not, but you're going to be there. Tell us
Yes.
about the next step here. And I understand the chief involved in this as well. This happens to deal with the range expansion.
Yes.
How is that moving along, and why is this an important step in that process?
Yeah, so we have a hearing in front of the House Capital Investment Committee tomorrow morning. Representative Bonner has been helping us with this initiative to get some funding to expand our North Metro range. We serve about 20 different agencies out of that facility for range training, as well as other types of training for critical incident response, de-escalation, those kinds of things. And so really important to us. We're at capacity. That facility's operating 18 hours a day, and so we know that with the addition of some additional space and doubling that range space, we could better serve our current customers as well as future customers. Working with Hennepin County on formalizing a broader agreement with them for use of that facility as well. So hearing tomorrow morning, Chief will be there. We're bringing a number of other chiefs that utilize this facility to come and support the chief in that hearing, but our bonding request is for about $6.5 million, which is for about half the cost of that expansion of that facility.
So the hearing happening on the range, but the hearing not happening yet on 610.
Yeah.
Any preview or thoughts of where that is in a process?
Yeah, it's interesting because, this year isn't really a bonding year, which applies, of course, to the range proposal as well. But lo and behold, there's always bonding items that come in at the end. It's kind of how the horse trading happens in terms of getting a budget bill done or whatnot, tax bill. So we are continuing to push on the 610 piece. That bill, we've had a bill in the last 3 sessions, and it's been heard in front of both Senate and House.
Right.
So whether we'll get another hearing on that bill will remain to be seen, but we're doing a lot of behind-the-scenes work. We're working with Lockridge, Grindle, and Lynn Chesky's our lobbyists this year, and we have had a number of meetings with legislators to talk about that project. We've met with the MnDOT commissioner, and so a lot of work being done behind the scenes, but we'll see as the session moves forward. They're just getting into kind of the hearing phases right now.
Right.
So we'll see as the weeks go on. We have till, I think, middle of May, towards May 20th or so, the session comes to a close. So we've got some time here to continue to work on those initiatives.
All right.
Yep.
One final note then, moving ahead to the next meeting. That wraps up the meeting from the 4th, but on the 18th, the big topic coming up
Yep.
is street reconstruction, street maintenance. So you just wanted to give a quick preview for
Yes.
people that might be seeing this coming. Why should they attend?
Yeah, so we have a pretty big street maintenance project this year. I think the total cost is about $9 million. Sometimes we average between 6 and 7, so this is a little bit bigger year. So we'll be having that public hearing on the March 18th meeting. We do assess a portion of those costs.
Right.
The city picks up a good share of that, but there is an assessment for those street reconstruction projects. And so there should have been, if you're impacted by that, you've received a number of pieces of communication from the city, but this is your opportunity to come in and talk about that. And we usually do have quite a few folks that come and attend that meeting. We share the information about the projects and the process that'll take place, and so that'll be Monday, March 18th as well.
Very good. So
Yep.
as you see, a large meeting on the 4th. We've got about 5 minutes left to give you a quick look at some other things coming up in town. And one thing that is not looking forward to is spring flooding potential.
Yes.
So Let's talk about that for a minute. What is Ken saying? What is the city saying about the potential?
Yeah, so I know we're expecting snow this weekend, so we'll pile that on top of this issue. But I think we're really trying to be eyes wide open and prepare for the flooding season, depending on how the spring goes. We're hoping for a slow, long, warming season here, but there's a couple things that folks can do. If you see your storm pond elevation rising as we move into the spring, abnormally, please contact Public Works. Sometimes there's a blockage or something that if we can get out and address it ahead of time, we can prevent damage to homes. Most of the storm drains in the streets are currently covered by snow and now ice that is formed around those. We really don't encourage our residents to get out and try to clear those. We are going to be doing that work with we do it with a front end loader. Getting out there with your snow blower, you can damage your snow blower, those kinds of things. So we'll be doing some of that work through the community kind of in key areas where we know we might have some flooding risk in lower areas. So, but if you see that, things are blocked or you have debris in certain areas, just give a call to Public Works and they can come out and try to get some of that stuff pre-addressed. And we'll be doing some additional education information on what might happen this spring. So,
very good.
Yes.
Could be an interesting time ahead, but
It
again,
could be.
let's hope for slow warming. A couple other notes going on around the city. If you like art, there is a chance to go to the Government Center and see some art. Where does this come from?
Yeah, so this is the District 279 Osseo Area School Student Art Show. It's coordinated by the Maple Grove Arts Center. It's in the lobby of the Government Center, runs until March 28th. And of course, the Government Center is open to 8 to 4:30. But a lot of times during the evenings, we have meetings there, so you can pop in there too. But during the day is the most guaranteed time.
Very good. Let's hop to one other item related to arts. There's an open house coming up that is to talk about a big connection that might be coming here.
Yes.
Tell us about that open house.
Yeah, so this is a North Hennepin Community College, City of Brooklyn Park initiative. School district is involved with this one as well as Metro State. They are proposing to construct an 82,000 square foot center for innovation and the arts on the North Hennepin Community College campus in Brooklyn Park. There will be some components of this for the performing and the visual arts, and so they are holding a kind of a feasibility or a stakeholder study meeting here in Maple Grove, because certainly the footprint of that facility will serve the Maple Grove audience as well. So that is Thursday, March 7th, so coming up tomorrow night, 6 to 7:30. That's in the lower level, the Emergency Operations Center of the Maple Grove Government Center. So we encourage folks to come out if they have an interest in that.
Very good. Spring newsletter time. Look at your mailbox. You might find something there, and it's packed full of information.
Yeah, 32 pages with all of the spring happenings and news from the Maple Grove community.
All right, let's talk about the new canine dog. We were talking last time that a name would be coming, and the name has come.
Yeah, Rudy is his name, and Rudy and Officer Goggins are off to training. They'll be in canine school now through about the end of May, when Rudy will graduate, and then he'll be deployed on service here in town. So welcome to Rudy and to Officer Goggins. Good luck through the training.
Very good. A couple other updates. Fire safety class. We've talked about this a few times. Opportunity for people to get some great training. When and where does this happen?
So we have classes coming up March 12th and 28th. They are held at Maple Grove Fire Station 4 in the evenings from 6 to 7. We do ask that you register for those events, so if you just give a call up to the Government Center and talk with fire prevention educator Shannon Burton, we can get you registered.
This next note is a true sign that the city is pushing ahead to spring and summer. You're looking to hire people to work outside and at a pool.
Yes.
And you've got a big event coming up to help people understand more about that. Tell us about the jobs.
Lots of great summer jobs available through the city and Public Works, Parks and Recreation. We do have a job fair coming up on Thursday, March 28th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the community center. So information will be available there and applications to apply for those great city jobs. If you have a teenager, older teenager, or a college student home for the summer, this is a great opportunity for great employment with the city.
Very good. And while we're at the community center, you might want to stop in and check about the membership. It is membership sale time. How long does this last?
So the sale's on March 10th through the 14th. 15% off of those sales, a couple different options depending on how you use the community center, and then additional $10 off if you register online through the city's website.
All right, last chance here for a few items to get your calendar out. Coming up quickly here, the Empty Bowls event. What what is that and where does that happen?
So Thursday, March 7th, again tomorrow night. This one's at the Community Center from 3 to 7:30. This is in support of Cross Services and a fundraiser for them. They have food samples, live music, and then local artisans available that evening as well.
And a couple other quick items here. A home improvement design expo coming up 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday, March 16th. And that is going to be, I believe, held at the Community Center. And then the Indoor Farmers Market, again at the Community Center, March 21st, a Thursday, the next date from 3 to 6. And more fun coming up in April. Heidi, thank you very much for your time today. A lot to pack in a half hour. Let's leave you with a little contact information. Next meeting coming up on the 18th. Phone number at the bottom of the screen, website in the middle. That is all for the Maple Grove City Report. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us.